Senator Manzo, you've concluded. Now, having consulted the leadership of the House, we've agreed that we'll take 2 senators across the aisle. Now that Senator Manzo, you've concluded. Now, having consulted the leadership of the House, we've agreed that we'll take 2 senators.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Across the aisle.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this motion.
Now,
I can't help noting the fact that we've come a long way. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remember when I came in this parliament, I rise to support this motion. The total revenue, I can't help noting, was 201 the fact that we've come a long way. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last year, it had risen to 2.571 trillion. Mr. Speaker, with this level of growth, it must concern the parliaments of Kenya that we must see more development, Mr. Speaker. The development we are seeing from the counties leaves a lot to beg.
Already set the pace. We now move to Senator Boni Halwale.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this motion, and I can't help noting the fact that we've come a long way. I remember when I came in this parliament in the year 2002, Mr. Speaker, the total revenue collection by KRA was 201 billion shillings only. Last year, it had risen to 2.571 trillion. Mr. Speaker, with this level of growth, it must concern the parliaments of Kenya that we must see more development, Mr. Speaker. The development we are seeing from the counties leaves a lot to beg. The development that we see from the national government, much more is expected of it. I have seen, Mr. Speaker, that in the beginning of this year, a number of contractors have started coming back on the roads. This is something which is laudable. We would like contractors to be paid out of this 2.571 trillion shillings so that our country can change. Mr. Speaker, in 1981, the level of poverty in China was 80%. But today, there is zero poverty in China. How? They have managed their resources. We must urge the executive and county governors to manage resources. My second and last point, I want to congratulate the Committee of Health. When I read through your report as Committee of Health, you spoke to the real issue. Many people in this country, when we speak to the issue of SHA, they think we are against SHA. The quick reaction from the minister especially is to tell you, no, SHA is fantastic because 29 million Kenyans have registered. Fine. And he says it compares favorably with 8 million who had registered in NHIF. But unfortunately, the Committee of Health was able to demonstrate that despite 29 million Kenyans registering into SHA, it is only 4 million who are actively contributing. It therefore means, purely on figures, that SHA is only 50% as effective as NHIF. Because NHIF, 8 million were contributing. In SHA, 29 million registered fine, but only 4 million registering. So what is the solution? The solution is the National Assembly and the Senate, we must push so that there is exchequer support to SHA. We cannot reverse the SHA because it is the route to universal health care. But without support from the exchequer, it will never succeed. It cannot rely on those little contributions by members who are subscribers. This budget policy statement, let our recommendation be that the exchequer must release money to SHA. Finally, the issue of Committee of Health again, you are raising the number of community health promoters from 107,000 to 120,000 people. But you are not following it with resources. So when we shall tell governors, employ more community health promoters, and then they are unable to pay, that is how you make the government to look bad, that the government is failing. We must, as government, as parliament, be able to push to point out these things so that the necessary money is included in the budget. I support. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Senator for Nairobi County, Senator Edwin Sifuna.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Every time this document comes before this House, my attention as a senator is always drawn to what has been provided for in terms of the shareable revenue for county governments, Honorable Speaker. The committee observations are telling us here that they have noted that the county equitable share, the increase that is proposed in the budget policy statement is only 5 billion Kenya shillings. If I understand that correctly, Honorable Speaker, it means they are proposing to give us 420 billion Kenya shillings. Now, I am sure, Mr. Speaker, you know where I'm going with this. Because in under 2 weeks, on the 7th of March 2026, we are expecting a final report on the implementation of the MOU between Raila Amolo Odinga and His Excellency the President, William Ruto. You will recall that I am the drafter, author, and underwriter of that agreement, Honorable Speaker. It is quite disheartening that even weeks to the expiry of that agreement, we are being told that the 450 billion shillings that was promised to Baba Raila Amolo Odinga is not going to be met as a promise. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, I want to encourage the committee. I can see that in their recommendations.
What is your point of order? What is so disorderly about Senator Sifuna?
Standing order number 105. The Senator of Nairobi is referring to a document called MOU. That document has never been tabled in this House. Is in order to refer serious agenda like budget policy statement on some dog-eared document called MOU between UDA and ODM, where this parliament was never informed of, Senator of Nairobi.
Senator Sifuna, proceed with your thoughts.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for continuing to protect me from old men. I've been under siege. But the point that I am making is this. Honorable Speaker, we agreed that the government that is led by UDA would at least show this goodwill by providing for 450 billion Kenya shillings in terms of shareable revenues for our counties. I am happy that I can see that in the committee recommendations, Senator Faki, you have recommended that the equitable share for financial year 2026-2027 be Kenya shillings 454. That recommendation by the committee of this House would be in accordance with that agreement that I have referenced, Honorable Speaker, and it is a public document. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, the committee has also pointed out that we need to limit the recurrent expenditure that the counties are, incurring, and try and push more money to development. Speaker, we were convinced by our colleagues from the so-called smaller counties here to introduce an affirmative action tool for them to be able to receive some substantial amount in terms of shareable revenue. I remember these senator colleagues tried to persuade us by saying that they would ring-fence that money for development, Honorable Speaker. I have only heard from one governor, I think it was the governor of Laikipia, who told us that it was Nyandarua. Please don't take credit for Nyandarua, Honorable Speaker. Yes, who appeared before the Senate Public Accounts Committee and told us that in the next audit cycle, we will see as a House that the money that we added onto the county of Nyandarua, I think it was about 300 million shillings, he will be able to demonstrate which projects it went to. Honorable Speaker, we need to do more. Even my arguments against the much publicized cooperation agreement is that this House has been able to channel money that can be ring-fenced to specific purposes, including kites and construction of county headquarters, so that it was not necessary to enter into that misadventure, that this House can actually recognize the special needs of Nairobi, for instance, when it comes to street lighting, and give us money specifically through the additional allocation so that we can be able to take care of our recurrent expenditure, or the special need for streetlights in Nairobi. Lastly, Honorable Speaker, I can see the committee has also addressed the question of non-remittance of pensions that now stands at over 115 billion Kenya shillings, Honorable Speaker. How I wish that when we pass these monies, you know, there was a motion that was sponsored by the Senator for Narok that required that these county governments clear their obligations within a certain period of time. We would want to see the level of implementation of that motion, because even up to today, Honorable Speaker, I continue to receive delegations from pensioners from Nairobi Water, Nairobi City County, saying that they are unable to access their pension, and the county government of Nairobi is unable to meet its obligations. We hold the highest pending bill when it comes to pension funds, Honorable Speaker. And I can see that the committee has recommended some measures for us to be able to address this issue. I thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I support the report.
Senator Mandago.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to address about 3 things that have been mentioned in the budget policy statement. Honorable Speaker, from the Committee of Health, we have noted in the budget policy statement there is an increase of community health workers to the tune of 12,000 additional new community health promoters, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, in that budget policy statement, there was no accompanying resources for payments of the new community health promoters. And 2, Honorable Speaker, resources must also be provided. As we onboard new community health promoters, Honorable Speaker, there is need to resource them with the kids for them to be able to work. The county governments, Honorable Speaker, have failed in the payments of stipends for the community health promoters on time. Some counties have gone as delaying as far as 7 months, 8 months, Honorable Speaker, without paying the stipends. Honorable Speaker, we want to ask the Minister of Health and National Treasury to consider a payroll payment so that when the other workers are receiving their monthly pay, the community health promoters, Honorable Speaker, should be receiving their monthly stipend, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, KEMSA, being the most critical logistical institution in terms of supply of drugs, non-pharmaceuticals and small medical equipment, Honorable Speaker, is owed a total of 6 billion Kenya shillings. Honorable Speaker, that debt is not only resident in counties, but also in national government institutions, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the national government owes KEMSA to a tune of 3.5 billion. Counties, Honorable Speaker, owe KEMSA in excess of 4 billion. Honorable Speaker, in the budget policy statement, a mechanism should be established where SHA reimburses both national government facilities and county government facilities, Honorable Speaker, net of their dues to KEMSA. Honorable Speaker, this will ensure that our facilities have drugs that are being supplied on time by KEMSA. This will ensure that the fill rate for KEMSA, Honorable Speaker, will move from around 65, 70 to 90 to 95%, Honorable Speaker, therefore availing the necessary drugs and commodities to the facilities, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, SHA must also address the issues of reimbursements to facilities, particularly giving priority to public facilities, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, finally, I want to say that the budget policy statement did not provide for funds for the operationalization of the emergency and critical care funds that is meant to address the most difficult and expensive diseases that are being managed in this country, like cancer, Honorable Speaker, and emergency services, Honorable Speaker. We therefore expect that the National Treasury will consider the establishment, resourcing that fund, so that the 4 funds and the full implementation of SHA can now be realized in this coming financial year, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I submit.
I now call upon the mover to reply. Senator Faki.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank Senator Cheriot for seconding the motion and all of those who contributed to the motion. Mr. Speaker, I beg to reply, and I beg that under Standing Order 66(3), the putting of the question be deferred to a later time this afternoon.
It is so deferred. Next order, Clerk.
Order number 11, motion, report of the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget on the 2026 Medium-Term Debt Management Strategy.
Chairperson, Standing Committee on Finance and Budget.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So I stand before the House on behalf of Senator Roba, who is the chair of the Finance, who is unwell. Mr. Speaker, so I beg to move that the Senate adopts the report of the Standing Committee on Finance Budget on the 2026 Medium-Term Debt Management Policy, laid on the table of the Senate on Tuesday, 24th of February, 2026. Mr. Speaker, the Medium-Term Debt Management Strategy provides a framework for informed decision-making on public borrowing and debt management. It guides the national government in structuring the public debt portfolio to minimize costs and risks while ensuring sustainability and supporting the development of the domestic debt market. The 2026 MTDS has been prepared and submitted to pursuant to Section 33 of the Public Finance Management Act, Cap 412, which mandates the Cabinet Secretary responsible for finance to submit to Parliament a statement outlining the national government debts management strategy. Mr. Speaker, sir, pursuant to Section 33 of the Act, it encompasses the following key elements: the stock of public debt as at the date of tabling of the statement, the sources of loans acquired by the national government, and the nature of guarantees issued by the national government. Number 3 is principal risk associated with these loans and guarantees. Number 4, assumptions underpinning the debt management strategy. And number 5, an analysis of the sustainability of both the actual and potential public debt. The resolution of the House on the report on the medium-term debt management strategy serves as the foundation for determining the appropriate limits on proposed domestic and external borrowing. Additionally, it informs the approval of the budget policy statement, which you have spoken to earlier. Mr. Speaker, I don't wish to go into the major details of the report. I just want to go through the the recommendations. Number 1, that the fiscal deficit target for the medium term be approved at 5.3% of the GDP for the financial year 2026-2027. That is 3.6 of the GDP for the financial year 2027 and 2028, and 3.3 of the GDP for the financial year 2028 and 2029, in line with the fiscal consolidation path. And number 2, that the borrowing strategy be approved at 22% for net external borrowing and 78% for the domestic borrowing as contained in the 2026 medium-term debt management strategy. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I appreciate all stakeholders who appeared before the committee and submitted memoranda on the 2026 medium-term debt management strategy. I also appreciate the members of the Committee on Finance and Budget for their commitment and dedication to completing the task. I also wish to thank the Office of the Speaker and the Office of the Clerk for facilitating the committee in executing its mandate. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to move and ask Senator Cheriot, the Majority Leader, to second this motion. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I'll also be brief on this matter. This is an extremely important paper that the Senate has had an opportunity to put its voice to. Our debt management strategy continues to be exercise that any administration for the next maybe foreseeable future will have to grapple with. And as Parliament, we must continue to speak on these issues. So, Speaker, I have never forgotten how last Parliament, when we had the debate on the debt ceiling,
certain unpleasant things were said. In fact, to the best of my recollection, the most unpleasant things that have ever been said to me on the floor of Parliament was actually on that particular day, because I held the view that it was not possible to keep the country on the debt trajectory that we were taking at that particular time. I know that we have since shifted our debt measurement metrics by moving it from measuring it by a ceiling to now as a percentage of the GDP. And even the anchor that we put here, because in 2023 we passed a law that we need to put it at 55% by 2028, which is barely 2 years away. And if I hear what Senator Faki is saying, we're still at 68%. I don't know what miracle we will perform to get it to 55% by 2028, Mr. Speaker, but I'm proud that as a House we have continued to make it clear of where we stand on this particular issue of debt, Mr. Speaker, because it's not just about us, but also about future generations. Therefore, I want to urge colleagues that we must remain and continue to be vigilant the way this committee has been and share our concerns and thoughts. With those main remarks, Mr. Speaker, I beg to second.
Honorable Senators, I will now propose the question that the Senator Shakila kindly be orderly. That the Senate adopt the report of the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget on the 2026 Medium-Term Debt Management Strategy laid on the table of the Senate on Tuesday, 24th of February 2026, and approve the 2026 Medium-Term Debt Management Strategy. Senator Omtata.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I thank you for the opportunity to address this House on the budget policy statement. Pardon? Yeah, the debt management strategy. It is also linked to the budget statement, because if you look at Section 49 of the Public Finance Management Act, it makes the budget policy statement an open check, which the Cabinet Secretary can and has periodically abused to sidestep Parliament and incur loans that we don't know their destination is. So when we make these budget policy statements that are far in excess of what the Kenya Revenue Authorities are able to raise, we must realize that we are handing the executive a blank check with which they are going to raise odious debt that's going to burden us. So I would have expected that in passing this budget policy statement, we should have looked at the capacity of the KRA to raise taxes to finance these figures that we have. Ideally, it lays out a broad framework within which the government should make its budget, but that Section 49 of the Public Finance Management Act turns this budget policy statement into a law. Yet, the budget policy statement does not come to this House as a bill, and so it has got no force of law to be applied as a law. It's only an advisory tool at the very best. So unless we do something about Section 49, then we must really frame our budget policy statements to be tied strictly to what the budget, what the taxation, what the tax revenue, or to whatever tax revenues that we can raise. Otherwise, we are responsible for the odious debt that is burdening this country, that is pushing us to junk status. So I'll pray that in the budget, in the debt management strategy, this House considers repealing Section 49 of the Public Finance Management Act, so that the budget policy statement cannot be used to open a back door on the Appropriation Act through which the executive can go on a loan borrowing spree purporting to be implementing the budget policy statement, which is not a law, but a piece of advice on how the government should be able to raise revenue, or within which sets the broad parameters within which the government's budget should be set. So with those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, sir, I say that as matters stand, the budget policy statement, the debt management strategy amounts to nothing. There's no strategy, there's no plan, there's nothing that we are trying to do other than trying to just talk to ourselves in a language we don't understand. And that, for me, is a very, very sad day for this country. So there's no strategy on the table, Mr. Speaker, sir. Thank you.
Senator Chiranke.
Speaker, I'll make quick comments. I want to commend the committee for this report. I think the issue of public debt management strategy is very key. So, Speaker, it is a reality that as of 2026, the public debt was 12.3 trillion Kenyan shillings, Mr. Speaker. It's also a reality that for some time now, Kenya has a deficit budget, where we are projecting to have a budget of 4.7 trillion. The input or the extrapolation of that, Mr. Speaker, sir, is we will keep borrowing to finance our obligations under the public budget of 4.7 trillion. So, Speaker, I'm happy the committee has noted, but has not given us a way out, because the public debt is at 68% of the GDP, going beyond the legal limit of 55%, Mr. Speaker. So I hope the obligations, and we hope it will stabilize, because this public debt management, and I'm happy the Minister of Finance was with us in the morning, Mr. Speaker. I believe that these issues must be resolved once and for all. The Constitution has provided in Article 214 on the issue of public debt, how it should be managed, the guarantees, Mr. Speaker. You have remember, there are many guarantees that sometimes we give for the obligations or loans we get as a country. Mr. Speaker, my third point, because I'll only make 4, is Article 202, that says that revenue raised nationally shall be shared equitably between the national and county governments. Now the question is, even as we discuss budget policy statement and allocation to counties as protectors of devolution under Article 96, is what will be the implication to the funding to county governments? Because Article 202 is very clear that it should be equitable. So the obligation, and I hope the Finance and Budget Committee, Senator Faki, should have given us the way out, because these guarantees are done by national government. There is no consultation between the national government and county governments to ensure that the county governments are aware of the public debt obligations. And I thought the medium strategy should have put in place, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the final point that I wanted to make, Mr. Speaker, is the issue, and many Kenyans should agree with this, that the fact that the public debt is 12.3 trillion, there are so many projects. And I'm happy the Senator of Kakamega has noted that the road contractors are on site. You have seen, Mr. Speaker, the one of Rironi Mau Summit. Somebody had alluded that there is no even a wheelbarrow. But I can confirm, as the use of those roads, a number of them, even who are going to Kisii, Mr. Speaker, were using the same road that is being constructed, and so many machines. And I'm happy the Senator of Nakuru has just told me that she just drove from Naivasha, and the machines are ongoing. So we are happy with that fact that money is being released. And this is the wisdom of the President, where we are now establishing National Infrastructure Fund, Mr. Speaker, that will take why that money is being raised through sale of Safaricom shares, Mr. Speaker, which and every right-thinking Kenyan must and should support, because we need development across the country to be equitable and shareable, Mr. Speaker. Even the one on initial public offer through Kenya Pipeline Corporation, the KPC, this money shall be raised to National Infrastructure Fund. We want at least 5 trillion, Mr. Speaker, so that the road that is coming all the way from Wajir to Isiolo to Nairobi can be a reality. The one that is in Narok, the airport that is being constructed in Narok, will be a reality, Mr. Speaker. the one that we are doing from Thika to Town Expressway will be a reality, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I think I am happy that the Finance and Budget Committee, the issue of National Infrastructure Fund of 5 trillion is a reality, and I hope as we do the public debt management, we will ensure the funds are available. With those many remarks, Mr. Speaker, I support this report of the Finance and Budget Committee on the medium-term debt management strategy, and I yield back.
I will now call upon the mover to reply.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to thank the seconder and those who have contributed to the motion, and especially Senator Cherargei. The views or the issues that you have expressed were within our thinking when we came up with this report. And in fact, it has been our insistence that the debt levels are unsustainable. And therefore, we look forward maybe in the next budget policy statement and medium-term debt management strategy, the Treasury will address these concerns, especially on the issue of borrowing more from the domestic market, which is set at 78%. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to reply, and under Standing Order 66.3, I beg that the putting of the question be deferred to a later time in this afternoon. Thank you.
It is so deferred. Next order, clerk.
Order number 12, motion, report of the joint sitting of the National Assembly Departmental Committee on Energy and the Senate Standing Committee on Energy on the consideration of the Field Development Plan and the production sharing contracts for blocks T6 and T7 in South Lokichar Basin, Turkana County.
Chairperson, Standing Committee on Energy. You may proceed, Senator Kisang.
Good. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, on behalf of the Chair of the Energy Standing Committee of Senate, Dr. Oburu, I beg to present. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the Senate adopts the report of the Joint Committee of the Standing Committee on Senate and the Departmental Committee on Energy of the National Assembly on the consideration of the Field Development Plan for the South Lokichar Basin and the production sharing contracts for blocks T6 and T7, together with the associated first addenda laid on the table of both houses, and adopts the recommendations of the Joint Committee pursuant to Article 71 of the Constitution and Section 31 of the Petroleum Act 2019. Honorable Speaker, the South Lokichar Basin Field Development Plan, together with the associated production sharing contracts for blocks T6 and T7, was tabled in the Senate on Thursday, 27 November 2025, pursuant to Article 71 of the Constitution. The article requires that any grant of a right or concession for the exploitation of natural resources by or on behalf of the national government be ratified by Parliament. Upon tabling, the FDV and the PSCs were committed to the Committee on Energy for detailed consideration in accordance with Article 118 of the Constitution, which provides for public participation in parliamentary process. Honorable Speaker, in a communication dated 4 December 2025, the Speaker of the National Assembly encouraged the Departmental Committee on Energy of the National Assembly and the Standing Committee on Energy of the Senate to convene joint sittings for the examination of the contracts and conduct public participation. This was aimed at ensuring consistency, eliminating duplication, promoting a bicameral approach, and expediting the consideration process. Honorable Speaker, consequently, on 29 December 2025, the Speaker of the Senate, yourself, sir, approved the formation of a joint committee comprising the two committees, both from National Assembly and Senate. Honorable Speaker, the mandate of the Joint Committee was to consider the production sharing contracts and the field development plan in accordance with Article 71 of the Constitution and Section 31 of Petroleum Act 2019, as I had said. Honorable Speaker, the PSCs and FDV outlined the proposed commercial development of 6 oil discoveries within South Lokichar Basin, Turkana County, and detail the strategy for the development of the discoveries and additional appraisal and exploration activities aimed at maximizing resource recovery within the designated development area. Honorable Speaker, the field development plan proposes a phased approach. Phase 1 covers the period of 2026 to 2031. Phase 2 is the period spanning 2032 to 2050, Honorable Speaker. Peak period crude oil production is projected at approximately 20,000 barrels per day during phase 1 and 50,000 barrels per day during phase 2. The estimated oil in place within the blocks range between 1.1, 1.9 and 3.5 billion stock tanks barrels, with an estimated recoverable resource of 326 million stock tank barrels over the life of the project, subject to upside potential and the alternative development scenarios, Honorable Speaker. To achieve the projected production volumes and realize fast oil for export leather in the year 2026, this year, Honorable Speaker, around December, the contractor intends to deploy early production facilities within the Lokichar Basin, that is Ngamia and Amosing oil fields, within the current year 2026, and subsequently a central processing facility in 2032 to support increased production in phase 2. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Article 118 of the Constitution and Section 131(3) of the Petroleum Act, the Joint Committee undertook extensive public participation. And Honorable Speaker, when we met the stakeholders, everybody lauded that this was very extensive public participation that has not been undertaken in the past, Honorable Speaker. The committee also received, we undertook public participation in Turkana County, Washingishu County, Trans Nzoia County, West Pokot, Lamu, and Mombasa, Honorable Speaker, between the dates of January 12 to 6th of February 2026. The committee also received several written memorandums following advertisements that was put in the dailies from the ministries, several ministries, and we met several CSs and stakeholders, oil and gas experts, and the contractor, Gov Energy, including the County Assembly of Turkana and the Executive of Turkana Counties. Honorable Speaker, the committee considered a wide range of issues raised during the hearings, including but not limited to the need for meaningful public participation, transparency of the agreements, and disclosure of the ownership of the companies, Honorable Speaker. The committee addressed these concerns by ensuring hearings were all conducted in affected counties, as I had mentioned, Honorable Speaker. On local community issues, the committee had concerns regarding land compensation, revenue sharing, employment opportunities. Yes, I'm bringing it, I'm summarizing, don't worry. The committee noted that the committee observed that the project is expected to generate over 3,000 direct and indirect jobs, and included jobs over the life cycle of the project. The local content plan targets 100% Kenyan participation in unskilled labor and skilled works, and at least 50% Kenyan participation in specialized upstream operations. The committee also noted the commitment by the contractor to reserve a portion of trucking contracts for enterprises based in Turkana. Honorable Speaker, out of about 600 trucks that will be moving daily, they have reserved 400 of them, basically close to 80%, 70% to the locals. Honorable Speaker, to save time, I just wanted to ask members that we support this particular report because it will unlock fast oil by December this year. With ratification of this particular report, Honorable Speaker, it will unlock Kenya's first commercial oil production, targeted for December this year, ending a 13-year-old delay since the discovery. The discovery was done in 2012, and up to now, we have not been able to exploit this particular resource, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, in concluding, as I urge members to support this particular report, this is the time when our colleagues and our countrymen and women from Turkana, Honorable Speaker, will benefit and join the rest of Kenyans in development, sometimes last year, Honorable Speaker, the Committee on Energy, we traveled for benchmarking in Saudi Arabia. And we were told by 1950s, 1960s, Saudi Arabia was a desert. Saudi Arabia, they were just adding camels. But Honorable Speaker, when you go to Saudi Arabia now, it's a different country. It is first world. Education is free there. Medical is free. People are given stipend daily. So this is the way that we need to go so that those who have been marginalized for a long time, Honorable Speaker, may benefit from the resources that God gave us. You know, there are some places of Kenya that are very dry. We believe there is nothing there. But when God gave others rain, God gave others also natural and mineral resources under the soil, Honorable Speaker. And this is the opportunity for Turkana County and the rest of Kenya also to benefit from this oil. This is where we are going to stabilize our currency. This is where the exchange rate between Kenya shillings and the dollar will come below 100. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. After careful consideration of all submissions and a thorough analysis of the legal, fiscal, environmental, social, and economic implications, the Joint Committee recommends that the House adopts this report and approves the ratification of the production sharing contracts and field development plan for blocks T6 and T7 in South Lokichar Basin in Turkana County. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move and request the House to adopt this report, and I invite and request Senator Beatrice Okola to second.
Honorable Speaker, I rise as a very confident member of the Joint Committee to second the motion for the adoption of the report of the Joint Committee of the Standing Committee of Energy of the Senate and the Departmental Committee on Energy of the National Assembly on the consideration of the field development plan for the South Lokichar Basin and the production sharing contract for block T6 and T7. Honorable Speaker, I want to start by commending the Joint Committee that was led by two ranking members of the two houses, Senator Dr. Buru, who is the chair of the Senate Committee of Energy, and Honorable Gikaria, who is the chair of the National Assembly Committee of Energy. Honorable Speaker, as we started on this assignment, there were concerns that were very generalized, concerns that rose from the development plan and the contract that was before us. Two issues came up, the issue of tax exemptions and the recoverable cost of 85%. Honorable Speaker, that concerned all of us, even as the Joint Committee. But, Honorable Speaker, we held a very robust public participation that took us across all the counties of Uasin Gishu, of West Pokot, of Trans Nzoia, of Lamu, of Mombasa, and finally, Honorable Speaker, we were able to have a very robust public participation in Turkana County. Honorable Speaker, a number of issues came up in the public participation. Key of them were members of the public getting concerned about environmental measures that were going to be taken into consideration. A number of them talked about infrastructure along the corridor. Issues of land compensation and land resettlement also came up, and the issue of water. But most importantly, Honorable Speaker, while we were in Turkana as a joint committee, the issue of insecurity also came up. And the people of Turkana were very clear. They stated that if the issue of insecurity is not solved, Honorable Speaker, then the exploration would not take place. Honorable Speaker, as we continued with the public participation, we had a lot of engagement, even with the technical experts. We received written memorandums. We were able to have presentations from the government sector heads, like the Ministry of Water, the Ministry of Energy, of course, the Treasury, Interior, the National Land Commission, the Auditor General, the Controller of Budget, the Attorney General, KRA. And Honorable Speaker, all the issues that were of concern to the members of the public were thrashed out in our stakeholders meeting. Honorable Speaker, as I second this motion, I want
Senator, you get 5 minutes. Can you conclude your thoughts?
Honorable Speaker, as I conclude my thought, I would like to urge Kenyans that we are able to meet professionals and of particular